Hey everyone, my name is Scott Pecorello. I am the founder and CEO of WeatherOptics. Today we're going to talk about the weather, everyone's favorite icebreaker, probably what you talk about when you first hop on a Zoom call or in the elevator, and also everyone's second favorite icebreaker, which is AI. But more importantly, how WeatherOptics is leveraging both to reduce supply chain risk before natural disasters. It's no secret. Weather is getting more extreme, more disruptive, not only across the US, but across the world. Earlier this month, we saw record-breaking floods in several states, including Texas and Kerr County, where more than 100 people were killed. Last year, we watched a hurricane rip through parts of interior North Carolina, changing the entire part of the state, road damage that still exists even a year later. In California, we watched wildfires burn entire communities to the ground. And weather is getting more and more severe. Between 1980 and 2020, we averaged about 7 individual billion-dollar weather disasters per year. In the last 5 years alone, that number has jumped to 23 per year, so about a 3 times increase. Weather impacts all industries, but specifically and more particularly, supply chain, logistics, and trucking. About 1 in 5 accidents on the roadway are due to weather, and about 25% of all trucking delays and shipment delays are weather related. Since the 1950s, we've really relied mostly on what are called numerical forecasting models. So these are models that rely on physics and large mathematical equations. They take basically current weather observations from around the country, and they compute how weather is going to change in the future. Again, they're physics-based, but they're very expensive, they're slow. We've made really impressive strides in terms of accuracy, but we're not seeing these huge jumps in accuracy until the last couple years where we've discovered more AI-based weather modeling. The difference here is that we're leveraging past weather forecasts, large amounts of data from the globe over the last 40, 50, 60 years to train new models and recognize patterns. We're using deep learning, machine learning, and what we're seeing is this huge increase in accuracy with this AI weather model-based approach. So much so that even at WeatherOptics, we have deployed our own AI weather model, Hyper. And this takes a hybrid approach. So it looks at both numerical weather predictions and also employs AI on top of that. So we're blending together all of these traditional weather models, and then we're looking at changes in real time. So if a thunderstorm pops up, or if a hurricane changes movement, or if there's a certain wind gust that's picked up in part of the country, we're bias correcting these traditional models, and the results are pretty astounding. We're seeing a 40% reduction in weather forecast error in the first 1 to 6 hours of our forecast. So a really significant reduction, and this is just in the first iteration of this model Hyper that we've introduced. Specifically here, you're looking at wind gusts and precipitation versus NOAA's weather models, specifically the HRRR model. And again, you're seeing these huge improvements in forecast accuracy. But ultimately, what we want to know is not just what the weather is going to be, but how is the weather going to impact me, my business, my operations? And it turns out that AI is really great for that too. So after we leverage Hyper, and we use Hyper as our kind of first step of the equation here, where we're producing classic weather variables like wind gusts, wind speed, precipitation rate, rainfall, lightning, all that good classic weather data, we're then looking at critical contextual impact data as well. So we're leveraging data from more than 40 million connected vehicles. We're looking at things like vehicle performance, topography, tree height and density, slope of roadway, all of these non-weather variables that you wouldn't really think play a role in a weather forecast, but they're super important in determining what the impact is going to be on specific operations or a specific location. So a great example is an inch of snow in Chicago versus Dallas, right? Right now you can get weather forecasts that say winter storm warning or high wind gusts are likely, or wind gusts are going to be 60 miles per hour, or snow is going to be an inch. But what does that really mean for a specific location, for a specific route, for a specific shipment? In Chicago, an inch of snow in a day is just another day in Chicago. In Dallas, it can shut down an entire city, right? So looking at these important, critical local infrastructure data points are super important in determining what the actual impact is going to be on operations. So we use machine learning on top of that AI weather modeling that we produce to create these hyper-local impact insights. And this is what makes WeatherOptics really unique as a weather provider is that we create predictive routing intelligence. So telling companies out to 7 days in advance how delayed their shipments are going to be, if there's alternative routing options they should take. We also have risk scores that work on a 0 to 10 scale that condense all of this data into a very simple risk score that, again, tell you how your specific key business operations are going to be impacted. So things like our road index, flood index, power outage index, how many customers are going to lose power and in what locations, tipping index, what are the chances that a vehicle flips over due to high winds. So all of these different intelligent products that are based on, again, the AI weather modeling plus that crucial contextual data. And again, the results are really, really exciting. This is our model for our speed reduction index. So this is how WeatherOptics predicts how slowed down a vehicle is going to be based off of weather. What we did is, again, we collected data from more than 40 million connected vehicles. We looked at specific vehicle attributes, local susceptibility to different weather conditions, and then we also looked at the raw weather data itself, and we trained this advanced model to pick up on when delays are likely to happen due to weather. And again, you can see an extremely high correlation between us predicting those delays happening on the x-axis there and those delays actually happening on the y-axis. That's true for all the variables. So for freezing rain, snow, wind, precipitation of any kind, we're having a really great accuracy in predicting when trucks are going to be slowed down or delayed based off of the weather. An example that is a little bit more recent, we talked a little bit earlier about Kerr County and how there was devastating floods just earlier this month. And so WeatherOptics also produces a flood index in addition to all the other indices and risk scores and the routing intelligence that we make. And what we found for this particular event was that 20 hours ahead of time, our flood index was able to alert our customers that there was going to be severe flooding. And again, this is because we were able to use a lot of that contextual data. So not just the rainfall amounts and the rainfall rates, but also what's the distance from the river? What's the shape of the river? What's the topography? How much rainfall has fallen in the last 24, 36, 48 hours? And so we were able to produce an index that is more accurate at capturing those types of crucial differences. So 20 hours ahead of time, we were able to predict the severe flooding. It beat the National Weather Service flood watch by about 6 hours. It beat their flash flood warning by about 16 hours. And it also provided better context to our customers. So not only were they seeing that there was going to be severe flooding, but they were seeing exactly what type of flooding to expect, if they should evacuate, if so, what exact actions they should take. So producing these sort of risk scores and indices when minutes matter can be life-saving as well. And so in conclusion, there are multiple components of AI that are helping to make weather forecasts better, but not only better weather forecasts, also better impact forecasts. Leveraging crucial contextual non-weather data allows us to also predict how weather is going to impact key operations. And having these predictions that can speak the language of the industry, like in supply chain logistics and trucking, and then also can integrate with key technology providers like Sonar, like Trimble, Platform Science, Geotab, makes it easier for our end users to then consume the data and take faster action more quickly. Thank you.